All right, guys, so we've done our creating of dot plots, we've interpreted them, and now we're going to compare two different dot plots, so it'll kind of build on what we learned in the interpreting. So we've got some information here. This is a morning class and an afternoon class, and then the descriptor up here tells us that the dot plots below represent the distribution of test scores in two sixth grade math classes. And so you could imagine that maybe this is the teacher scores. These were the kids from her morning class. These were the kids from her afternoon class. And just based on what you're looking at here, it looks like maybe those are percentages, right? So you can see that a couple of kids got a 40% in the morning class and so on. So let's look and see what we were asked to do here. It says, which class had the highest test score and what was the highest score? So as we look at both of these, the morning and the afternoon class, we can see in the morning class there was a one kid who got 100%, and nobody scored that high in the afternoon class. So the highest score was 100, and that was in the morning class. So the morning class had a 100%. Again, I'm making an assumption there that those are percents. All right. Then it says, which class had the lowest test score and what was the lowest test score? So we want now to go to the other end and look and see what the lowest test score is. Well, both classes had lows of 40 and nobody scored lower than a 40. So the lowest test score was 40, and that was by both classes. So they both had a low score of 40. Now, what is the mode of each class? So again, mode is the, I like to remember mode and most both start the same way. So this is the score that occurs most often. Pretty obvious with the morning class that the 80 occurred most often. So for our morning class, our mode was 80. And then for our afternoon class, the 40 and the 60 are pretty close, but the 60 is a little, just one higher there, I think. So our afternoon class had a mode of 60. Now, which class had the higher mean and by how much? So this is a little bit of work here, because remember with mean, we have to add all these scores up and then divide by the number of scores that there are, and we'll have to do that then for both classes. So here we go. Let's first figure out how many scores there are. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. And actually, in both of these classes, there were 21. So there's a total score of 21. Now we've got to add these up. But let's, before, there are some dots that are above numbers that we don't have, they're above spots where we don't have numbers. So this one's pretty straightforward. Halfway between 40 and 60, we know that there should be a 50 there. And then we've got right here between 60 and 80, looking like that should be a 70 there. Now this one's a little bit trickier. We know that this is going to be the 90 here. So we're at about, I'm going to make a little bit of an estimate here, just about a third of the way. So we're going to call this 83 and call that one 87. That's about 2/3 of the way between 80 and 90. Down here we need to know these scores. This is 40, this is 50. So it's about half the way between 40 and 50. We'll call that 45. Again, about a third of the way here, so we'll call that 53. And this is about halfway, so these are 55s. We've got 60. We know that this is 70. So this is about halfway here. So we're going to call that one 75. And we've got 80 here, and then this one 83s, about a third of the way. And then we've got this one right between 90 and 100, so we'll call that 95. I think we've got all of them now. All right, so some tricks on the calculator here to make this a less horrible job. Of course, we'll use our calculator for this. So we've got two 40s, so 40 plus 40. And then we're going to add in 50. And we'll add in 160, and we're adding in 170. Now, when we get to this 80, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them. So we're going to make use of our parentheses. We're going to put parentheses, 80 times 9, and then close that parentheses. And that'll do the 80 times 9 for us, and then add it in. All right, and then plus we've got an 83 here, and we've got an 87. Oops, I lost a couple of 83s there, didn't I? We need 2 more 83s. Got ahead of myself. We've got 2 90s, and we've got 100. When we add all that up, we get 1,596, and this is the morning class. And then, of course, we want to divide that by 21 to find our mean. And so I'm going to take that and divide by 21, and you can see we get 76. All right, so let's do our afternoon class now. Okay, so afternoon class, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 40s, so 40 times 4, close our parentheses, and add 1, 2, 3 45s. And we've got a 53, and we've got 2 55s. All right, now 60, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 60s. Okay, we've got 2 70s. We've got a 75. We've got 2 83s. We've got a 95. And when we add all of those up, we get 1,234. And then, of course, we want to divide that by 21. And we're going to, let me do that again, 1, 2, 3, 4 divided 21. Round that to 50, I get 58.761, so I'm going to round that to 58.8. Now, my question says, which class had the higher mean? Of course, the morning class had the higher mean. We want to subtract, then it says by how much. So we need to subtract our 58 8/10 from our 76. So got a calculator here. And we can see that there was a difference of 17 2/10. So we took our 76 and we subtracted our 58 8/10, and we saw that there was a difference of 17 2/10 between the mean of the morning class and the afternoon class. All right, now what is the range of scores for each class? So of course range is the highest number, subtract the lowest number. So for the morning we had a high of 100 and we had a low of 40, and so our range for the morning classes was 60. And then for our afternoon classes, our highest was 95, and again our low was 40, and so our range there was 55. All right, so now you've done some work by looking at some dot plots and comparing them. And now you are ready to do some of your work over this section.